are new to my class and have not taken my program before, my name is Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I have been practicing here in Boston for the last 5 years, as well as teaching with the Community Online Academy every Thursday since March, which has been wonderful to see this program continue to grow. So I'm excited you guys are here today. We have a 30-minute program using the foam roller, both stretching and strengthening for spine health. So we've got a lot packed into a little bit of time, but we'll be using the roller both to help improve our mobility as well as to improve our strength. So before we start, I just want to highlight that if anybody, as you work through this class, feels anything that feels abnormal, you can always take a rest. I offer a lot of modifications as well, so please listen to your body, take the option that feels right for you, and that way you can get the most out of this workout. So let's get started. We'll be back down on the mat with our roller, and I'm just going to tip this down so you guys have a slightly better view there. Okay, so we'll take our foam rollers and you're going to lie it perpendicular along your mat, and then bring your feet down on the opposite side of the roller. And then you can lie down onto your back, finding a comfortable position here with your head resting down to get started. What we're going to do is actually place the roller underneath our sacrum, and your sacrum is the bone between your tailbone and your low back. So go ahead and lift your hips on up, pull the roller in, and you're going to place it right underneath your sacrum. So make sure that it feels fairly comfortable, fairly supported. You can adjust it until you find a setup that works for your body. And then just let your spine sort of relax down, letting your head hang heavy on the mat. I like to start class in this position as this is a nice decompression for our spine. So having our hips higher than our heart takes away the effect of gravity and very gently tractions the vertebrae in our lower back. So that can feel really nice as opposed to sitting where we get a lot of compressive force because of gravity and the angle of our spine. So we'll start by just tuning our attention to our breath, taking our hands on our rib cage, starting to open up with a big inhale breath, and exhale, feel the ribs glide down and together. Inhale, breathing into your rib cage, opening wide out to the side, and exhale, feeling the two ribs glide down and together. We'll try 3 more breaths like that. Take a gentle inhale in, opening up and expanding, and an exhale breath out. 2 more times here. Inhale in and open, and an exhale breath to let it go. Last time like this. Inhale in through your nose, and an exhale breath out through your mouth. From here, hold on to the sides of the roller and bring one leg at a time to a tabletop position. So we're just going to let some of that blood from our feet kind of flow back to our heart. You can choose to stay in this setup with the knees bent, but if you're comfortable, you can straighten your legs in this position. And you don't even have to push them all the way straight. You can still keep a soft bend in your knee. And here you can point and flex. I know my feet are a little bit out of the screen, but I'm just pointing and flexing my toes here to bring a little bit of warmth and movement into my ankle joint. Feel the heaviness of your hips and sacrum down on the roller. And we're going to take this into a little bit of strengthening work. So here, keep your rib cage and the back of your shoulder blades down on the mat, lowering your right leg down, and then lift it on up. Left leg lowers down and lift it back up. So gently lowering and lifting here, one leg at a time, reaching your leg as far away from your body as you can and lowering it down only as far as you can go without letting your ribs and shoulders lift off the mat. As you continue to lower, see if maybe you can drop one of your feet lower than the roller itself, and that helps to open up the front of your hip through your hip flexors. So if you're someone who tends to be a little bit tight there, see how that feels. This can be a nice combination of strengthening and stretching. Good. We'll try just 2 more like this. Excellent, guys. One more time here. And then bend both of your knees, place your feet down. We're gonna do one more stretch here, which is for the inner thighs. And I really like doing this one in this decompressed position because it's a stretch that people often feel as either hip pain or knee pain when we do it in standing. In this position, it's pretty comfortable and pretty free for your body to move. So we're gonna lift both knees up. We'll start with the bent knee option and then I'll show you a progression if you'd like. So from here, very gently, you're gonna keep your knees stacked over your hips, but just allow the legs to fall out to the side and then draw them back in and together. If you're comfortable here, you can straighten both legs and try the same thing. So this is just a nice hip stretch to allow the hips to open a little bit more to the side, which is actually an area where a lot of people tend to get tightness, especially if you're someone who has experienced any groin pain or maybe pain on the inside of your knee. Good. We'll try 3 more. That's it, guys. 2 more. And last time here, bend your knees back to the tabletop and then place one leg down at a time. We're gonna lift our hips back up off the roller and drop them down. From here, we'll roll to the side sitting on up. And we're gonna take that roller still perpendicular to the mat, but behind us to get into our upper back here. So this time the roller is gonna go right behind our shoulder blades and maybe just a little bit below our shoulder blades. I think the easiest way is to hold your roller, lower yourself down, bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor, and then hold your head in your hands. Now, if you have a sweatshirt with a hood or you have longer hair, pull it out of the way. It can get tangled in the roller and that does not feel great. And then what we're gonna do is roll along the length of our rib cage. And this is our thoracic spine. So we'll start by lifting our hips, rolling right to the base of our neck, and then down just below the shoulder blades. We're not gonna go past that point. Now, the reason that we're rolling our upper back here is it tends to be the area of the most stiffness when we look at our spine as a whole. And stiffness here can influence not only low back pain, but also neck pain. And so we can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here by mobilizing the middle part of our back, our thoracic spine. So we're just gently rolling back and forth from the base of our neck down through the rib cage, and just noticing any differences from side to side or any particular spots of tension. You might even get some cracking and popping in your spine, and if you do, that's okay. Know that that may actually be a good thing, that you're getting some mobility into your back as you move here. Good. We'll try 3 more just like this. 2, and then we're gonna pause on this next one on a particular spot where you feel some tightness. So place your bottom down, think of connecting your ribs and hips towards one another, and then slowly let your spine drape back over the shape of the roller. So your bottom is staying down. You're just keeping the ribs down as you drop your sternum over the roller, and that should bring a nice stretch into the upper back. Now you can reposition, roll a little bit lower or a little bit higher, and try that same thing. And just notice where your body feels like it needs the most work. You can spend more time there, and that might be different than where I feel it and where your neighbor feels it. Good. Now, as we work in and out of this pattern, we're gonna go ahead and add in some additional sideways movement. So go back to your rolling, and this time we're gonna tip our left elbow or your right elbow towards your right side. So you're bending sideways. That's gonna help open up the opposite side body. And then you can do the same thing to the other side. So now my left elbow is going towards my left hip, and I feel an opening of my right side body. And again, just notice it. There's no right or wrong here, but you can notice kind of how this feels and how it helps to compare the 2 sides to one another. Now you might be fairly symmetrical here. I'm just going to adjust so I stay in the camera for you guys. But you may need a little bit more attention on one side than the other, and that's okay to spend more time on that particular side. Now you can also add in the dimension of rotation, and that's turning one elbow up towards the ceiling, the other elbow down towards the floor. And that starts to get into your lats, your shoulder muscles here. So gently rolling back and forth. You can try the same thing on the other side. And while the lats are a shoulder muscle, they do attach down towards our lower back. So they can influence how that part of the lower thoracic and upper lumbar spine feel with certain movements. Good. That's it. We'll try 3 more rolls here and just let your breath be comfortable and natural. Last 2. And 1 more time, and we'll just settle in, placing our bottom down. Now we're going to take this into a little bit of strengthening work. So hopefully now our upper back is a little bit more open and free. We'll start pausing where the roller is right below your shoulder blades with your knees bent, feet flat. Once again, draw the ribs and hips closer together. Keep your elbows in your peripheral vision. This time we're going to lower back and then curl the spine up as though you're trying to lift your shoulder blades off the roller. So we're using this kind of like a little crunching motion, except we're really not lifting up into a crunch. We're coming just from that extended position where we're draped over the roller, lifting up to the long line. I like to keep my eyes on my knees to make sure that my neck does not drop too far back. Because remember, this movement comes from our rib cage, from our thoracic spine. 3 more. That's it. Inhale back, exhale, lift for 2. Good, guys. Once more here, exhale, lift up and hold. Now, I want you to imagine like you're pinning the roller to the ground with your ribs. So really press your rib cage in on the roller and start to march your legs off the floor 1 at a time. So you're staying lifted. Continue to press the back ribs into the roller. Slow down your movement if it feels hard to keep the roller steady. Exhale as you lift one of your legs at a time. Good. Now, if this is feeling particularly easy and you'd like to build, you can lift both of your legs to a tabletop position and hold. You can also slowly start to extend one leg out at a time as you press and pull it in. Now you can modify here by pushing up a little bit higher towards the ceiling, or challenge by pressing your legs down a little bit lower towards the floor. Still noticing if your shoulders are lifting away, you want to press the back ribs in to keep the pressure on the roller the same the whole time. That's it. 4 more here. And 3. Good, guys. Last 2. Last time there, place both feet down and then take a gentle stretch over the roller once again. Good. Okay, now we're gonna get into a little bit of rolling for our glutes and our hamstring to prepare for our next strengthening exercise. So go ahead and bring that roller in. You're gonna place it underneath your bottom, sitting on top of the roller, and we'll get into our left side first. So I'm gonna place my left hand down on the floor behind me and gently turn my body to the left. From here, just start to roll back and forth over your glutes. And your glutes run from the back of your pelvis down to the bony parts of your sits bone. So if you can imagine that bone that you kind of sit on top of, you're rolling between those 2 extremes. Now you can roll a little bit more to the side. You can also roll kind of keeping your chest up to the ceiling to get more in that central part of your glute. Different people are going to be tight in different areas. So spend time where your body needs it. Just be cautious and know that there's a big bone on the side of your hip called a bursa. And that bone is, the bursa rather, is on top of the bone, and it protects the bone. It's a little fat pad from pressure. That being said, it doesn't like being foam rolled over, and you'll know because it's not super comfortable. So you want to roll to the side, but not all the way onto the side of your hip. So just gently back and forth, keeping it along the soft tissue of the muscle. You can choose to pause on one spot or continue to roll front to back, getting movement all along the length of the muscle. The one other add-on here is that if you want more body weight, you can cross your right ankle on top of your left and continue to roll with that extra body weight. Sometimes that's too intense. For me, I can do this on my left side. It's a little bit too much to do this on the right side. So just listen to your body. If it feels like a good amount of pressure, then you can keep it as it is, or you can add on with that addition of the right leg. We're going to take this now over to the right side. So reach your right hand back behind you. You're going to roll this time, turning to the right and starting to roll out the right glute. And this side might feel quite different. Maybe you want to stay more oriented towards the center and keeping your chest facing up to the ceiling, or maybe you need to turn and really get into the side of those right hip muscles. And make sure you really are rolling the length of your pelvis, so you're kind of getting the upper part of the glute muscles more towards your waistband, and then all the way down towards your sit bones, which is that, again, bony part of your bottom that you would sit on top of. Just a little reminder to check in with your left shoulder, or rather right shoulder, and make sure that that's in a good position down away from your ears. Good. You can add on by crossing that left ankle on top for more body weight, like I said, if you need here. Excellent. So we're going to now take this into our hamstring work. So go ahead and take the roller out from underneath your bottom. We're going to keep that on our hamstrings next. And so your hamstring runs from just above the knee right up to that same bony parts of your sits bones. And again, since we're not going to roll over bone, we're going to try and work through the length of our thigh. So let both muscles rest down. You're going to reach your hands about 6 to 8 inches behind you and start to roll here. Now this is some work for your shoulders as well. So if your wrists are super sensitive, a couple of things can help. One is separating your hands a little bit wider than shoulder distance, pointing your fingertips out to the side, but also paying attention to your shoulder position. So trying not to let the shoulders get slumpy and rounded, opening up the chest and keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. You can, if you need to, drop back onto your forearms and do the rolling. It's a little bit more core work and it's a little bit less intense on the hamstrings themselves. So if you can tolerate it up on your hands, I think that's going to be your best bet. Now, if you would like to try and add on a little bit more body weight here, you can cross your right leg on top of your left, and then you're going to be rolling exclusively on that left leg. You can do the same thing crossing your left on top of the right, and maybe you need to spend more time on one side than the other. You can also stay in the center and continue with both. One thing I'll mention is that our hamstrings are actually made up of 3 small muscles, and so you can roll your leg a little bit to the inside and roll it a little bit to the outside to feel the differences in the fibers of each of those muscles. So as you continue with that roll front to back, notice if there's an area where you need to spend a little bit more time, and make sure that you take that roll all the way up to your glute and then down to just above your knee. Very nice. Now we're going to be using this hamstring in our next strengthening exercise. So hopefully bringing a little bit of warmth and blood flow to the area helps to prepare us to use these muscles in a moment. We'll try one more roll here. Good. And then we're going to keep the roller where it is and lie back down onto our back to prepare for bridging with a little hamstring curl. So lie all the way down, let your head rest down, and then put your feet on top of the roller so that the arch of your foot kind of drapes over the top of the roller. Once you're there, you want to make sure the roller is fairly close to your bottom so you can reach it with your fingertips and push your feet down into the roller. We're going to lift up into a bridge in just a moment, but know that this first part of bridging is using our glutes. The second add-on is going to use our hamstrings. So to start, the roller stays still. We lift the hips up on into our bridge. And you can check and see if you can feel your glutes working here. Now that add-on is to roll the roller out, roll it back in, and then drop our hips back down. That add-on with the hamstring curl is optional. It's challenging. If it feels like too much for your body, you can practice just this lift and lower. You can also take your feet off the roller at any time if it feels like too much. Now, if you're getting a hamstring cramp here, one thing that can help is to think about hugging the inner thighs together. So trying to imagine like there's a little ball between your knees that you're holding the whole time while you do this little roll. And as you do the roll of your roller away from you, see if you can keep your hips lifted nice and high. We'll try 2 more times like this. Lifting on up, roll out and in and drop back down. Once more here, push down into your feet, lift the hips up, roll out and in and drop the hips back down. Take a gentle rest. Nice job there, guys. So we'll turn to the side and press ourselves on up to a seated position to get into a little bit of core work next. So I'm going to show you guys 2 options for how you can do this core work. It also doubles as a really nice foam roll to the muscles on the front of our shins. So if you tend to feel tight or sore through the front of your shins, this is a great combination move. So we're going to keep the roller where it is, but rest not the knee joint itself, but your shin and kind of the muscly part of the shin, so very slightly on the outside of your legs on the roller, and then walk your hands in front so you're in kind of an elevated all fours position. Now from here, I want you guys, I'll tuck in my shirt so you can see a little bit better. I want you to think of drawing your ribs up away from the floor. So instead of letting the rib cage sag, think of your rib cage giving your stomach a gentle hug. And then once you're there, you can lift your toes up and point. Now, the beginning version is to keep that flat back. So imagine like you're balancing a glass of water on your low back. You're gonna walk your hands forward and then walk your hands back. Walk your hands forward, keeping the knees bent so you roll along the length of your shins, and walk your hands back. So this is an option, and it's challenging to keep that back steady. The second option is to keep the hands where they are and then push the roller in and out, moving the legs this time instead of the arms. You still want to think about keeping that flat back, drawing the ribs up away from the floor, keeping your neck long and shoulders down away from your ears. 4 more. 3, that's it, guys. 2, 1 more time, pull it in, drop the knees down. You can keep your feet on the roller for an elevated child's pose here. So let your chest drop down, fingertips walk forward, and maybe even letting your forehead rest down onto the mat. Taking a deep inhale breath in through the nose, and an exhale breath out through the mouth. We'll try once more here. Big inhale. And exhale to let it go. Good. Now we're gently going to come on up and take that roller behind us once again to do a little bit of tricep work. And this tricep work is nice because it doubles as another stretch for our upper back and neck to really keep them in a good position. It's also a good strengthener for someone who has wrist sensitivity. So if this is something that has been bothering your wrist, building up some of the strength through your forearms can definitely help to manage that pain. So sitting with your feet flat, you're going to grab onto the roller behind you. But I want you guys to notice the difference between if my hands are really far back. Do you see how flexed that is at my wrist? This angle is very intense, and that can be a lot of wrist pressure. I'm going to work with the fingertips pointing down, so my wrist is fairly neutral, and the palm of my hand is just kind of draping over the front of the roller. Now we're going to start doing this movement with the bottom down. So open up your chest, look at something off in the distance, and then just simply bend the elbows and push. Bend the elbows and push. Okay, so this is not a crazy movement here. We're just trying to wake up the tricep muscles in the back. So think of if you had maybe a person behind you that you were trying to poke with your elbows, you want your elbows to drop straight back behind you. Now, if this is feeling easy and you'd like to progress, you're gonna plant your feet and actually pick your hips up into a hover. Push your elbows straight and open up your collarbones. We'll try that same thing. The roller should stay still, okay? If the roller is moving, that means your tricep has turned off and other muscles have started to take over. So go slow, make your movement small. It doesn't have to be big to be effective here. Good, 4 more, down and push. That's it for 3, push, 2, 1 more time, push it up, good. And you can sit back. This time we'll take the roller on our thighs and just gently roll it forward in front, taking a nice long stretch through the back of our shoulders and low back. You can add a soft bend to your knees if that's more comfortable for your spine. And then gently come all the way on up. Okay, we've got one more stretch here that we're going to do today, and this one is laying lengthwise on the roller. So if you have a shorter foam roller, this is where you'll just need to modify a little bit. So we're going to take that roller lengthwise along the mat, and the easiest way to get on is to really sit on the end of your roller, walking your hands back to let your head rest down heavy on the roller itself. Okay. Now, in this position, if you have a shorter roller, make sure that at least your head and your rib cage is on the roller, and then you can just hold your hips into a little hover, or maybe even bring pillows underneath your hips. Once you're in this position, let your arms just open out to the side. After all the work we've done so far today, this should feel like a nice stretch, and it is a really nice chest opener in that we can be totally passive here. Gravity does all the work. If this does not feel like a stretch for your arms, you can reach them up until it does. Your two arms can also be in different positions. So if you feel like one is more flexible than the other, that's fine. Just take this and notice it, that you feel a nice equal stretch on both sides. While you're lying here, think about taking the front ribs and drawing them down and together to push them into the back of the barrel or the roll behind you. And that will actually help to deepen the stretch that you feel across your chest, while at the same time protecting your lower back, so it keeps your core active and engaged. We'll hold and take one more deep breath in here. And then I'd like you to try and walk your feet a little bit closer together so that you feel a little bit maybe wobbly and unsteady. I'd like you to try a balance challenge here by lifting your fingertips up to the ceiling. Just get your balance, and this one is tricky if you have the shorter roller, bear with me. We're going to try and draw some arm circles just to finish up that stretch for the arm, but I want you to feel the ribs actively pushing into the back of the roller so that you feel your core active to help stabilize you here in this unsteady position. We'll reverse those circles. You might hear some clicking or popping in your shoulder. As long as that's not painful, that's normal. We're just getting movement. It is a fairly complex joint there. We'll try 3 more. And 2, go ahead guys, once more here. And then bring your arms down, go ahead and roll to the side and gently press yourself on up to a seat. All right.